Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another live show. We cancelled last week's one because it was in the midst of the World Cup. I'd stayed up all night to watch that South Africa game. I had nothing left to give. I said, in my down bad state, there was no way I could have done last week's live show. To be fair, I'm even down bad this week. My energy levels have plummeted ever since that World Cup. I got nothing. I actually got legitimately nothing. Much less I then went to Belfast to watch the Academy. I am operating on fumes right now. So, ladies and gents, my name is Machel St. Patrick here at One Half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. This is a really quick live call-in show. You lot think it's a joke. Everyone's always like, oh, Mash, you're joking. You always say that. Now, this one is a real quick one on the realness. I've got some deadlines for work. The only reason I decided to do this one is because I'd already made the decision to do it. It was too late to back out. So we've got to do a quick one. And because it's a quick one, I'm just going to put the link straight into the chat. We're going to get straight into it. Whoever's got anything to say needs to hurry up and say it. And then we're going to just duck out. Got this Portugal-Slovenia update on my phone, waiting to see if it's going to go to penalties at the same time. That game nearly finished me as well. That game, hella boring. So what's the time? It's 11 minutes past 10 in the UK. This show has to finish at 11 o'clock at the latest. Has to. Not even, no joke. I beg for my sanity and for my health. Let this finish at 11 o'clock. So the usual people who love to chat, you cannot just chat for your country today. You need to allow us to make your point and make it quickly. So what have we got to talk about? England tour, World Cup, women beat Sri Lanka, Academy, quite a lot of things to talk about, to be fair. So I don't think there's going to be many of you. To be fair, I don't think there's going to be many of you in the live this today because of the hurricane. Like, Wimbledon Islands under pressure. We have to put the prayers up for all of our compadres, brethren, and sistren in the Wimbledon Islands. Barbados under pressure. The way the hurricane is moving, Jamaica could be under pressure in the next few days as well. So we just got to pray for everyone, you know. We got to pray and hope that they get through all of this unscathed. Wait a minute, penalty to Portugal. Wait, bun this live. Hold on a minute. What's this penalty? Allow me. As soon as I stop watching this game, something happens, you know. Oh my gosh. I watched 100 and however many minutes of that match for nothing to happen. And now I'm seeing on my phone penalty. Let me just wait for the phone update. Has anyone got the live? I presume CR7 is taking it. Is CR7 taking that penalty? He must be. You know he wants that limelight. Let me wait for the penalty. Let me wait for the penalty before anyone can come on. Wait, hold on. Is it a penalty? What's going on, people? You lot ain't even getting no live until I see what's going on in this game. We just got to relax for a minute. Okay, it's a penalty. You lot must be ahead of me. Somebody must know it's a goal by now. I'm waiting for my phone to update. As soon as I get this update on this game, we can start the live show again. Sorry, people. I didn't sit through 100 minutes of Portugal Slovenia to start doing the live and then a penalty. What? Penalty saved? Penalty saved. That's what everyone's saying, penalty saved. What's going on? LT says saved. Yep. Okay, misses that penalty. Long day. Long day for Portugal. Let's keep it moving. Mm. Mm. Right, let's get into it. Right, into the live people. Let's move. Rahul, your first one up. Show ends in 45 minutes. So let's get straight into it. Rahul, first up. Yes, Rahul, what are you saying? Oh, Rahul don't want to talk. Rahul, big debut for Rahul. No talking. What, Rahul? You don't wanna say anything? Rahul, are you there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. What's up?
Oh, sorry. I was having an issue with connections, but just wanted to give a big shout out to you. Love your content. I'm following cricket out in America, so I don't get a lot of it. So I'm glad following you guys. A lot of great analysis, a lot of great stuff going. So that being said, I'm following Major League Cricket. It's about to start up pretty soon.
Mm.
I guess just want to know what your thoughts about it are. Like, do you think it's helping growing cricket in America? Just is it a good way for a lot of the younger folks, like a lot of the younger Caribbean cricketers, to kind of show up their skills as well? I know you were talking on a previous episode about a lot of the guys playing in this World Cup for the Windies were on the older side of things,
Mm.
and stuff like that. And I guess, like, what's your thoughts about it? Do you think it's like taking some like limelight away from CPL? Because I know, like, even not Caribbean, sorry, the Canadian, like, T20 league, they've got a lot of big names out there too. Even though it's like they're playing on like a one random turf ground. Like a lot of, I think Shaheen Afridi's leaving the 100 to play there, which was pretty shocking to me.
Okay, so the first thing I'll say, which I just want to get like on the record from now, all of these T20 leagues, including IPL, are match fixing leagues. So let's just get that straight first things first. Like, before we can get into any big conversation about will it do this for anybody's nation or will it do that, I think we all have to address the elephant in the room, which is that match fixing is rife across every single one of those leagues. And I don't see how Major League Cricket would be any different to that. That said, even within the confines of match fixing, I think America's so different with its idea of franchise sports. So let me put it back on you. Let me put it back. Do you live in the States?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let me put it back on you with this question: is Major League Soccer (MLS) an established and recognized league and sport in the United States?
I would say so. I mean, obviously not NFL, not NBA size, right? But
Mm.
I think there is, like, within the bigger clubs and the more successful clubs, there's a big following.
Mm.
It's definitely not like where if I just walk. So I live in the DC area, so it's not like I go out in DC wearing the DC United hat and people are asking me what sports league is that, what team is that. People know what it is. I think if you are a proper soccer fan, you at least follow the sport and you know some of the bigger names,
Mm.
even if you're not going to every game and like joining the fans. But I would say it is established. And that being said, it is pretty recent, I think, established. It did have its issues back in like the early 2000s and all. It took its time. So and I don't see Major League Cricket becoming like the next big thing in America either. I think um, it's better than nothing, which is saying something, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why I wanted your opinion on MLS. For me, the success criteria for Major League Cricket, in my mind, is if in 20 years' time it is as big as MLS is now. And that means that it's not recognized as any kind of, it can't be recognized as any NBA. It won't even be Major League Baseball level, right? It'll just be something on
Right.
par with Major League Soccer. The biggest issue Major League Cricket will have is that cricket isn't a sport in colleges or universities yet. Whereas at least with Major League Soccer, soccer was already an established sport across colleges and universities. Whether America embraced it or not, or whether any Americans themselves were good at it, it was still at least a sport that you could get scholarships for, and so on and so forth. So the notion of becoming a breakout star, American star, whether that be a Landon Donovan, whether that be a Christian Pulisic, etc. There's Jordan Morris, all these different youngsters have come through. There's an option to do so in soccer. I can't take Major League Cricket seriously until they have their own American franchise guy. And for me, that's how Americans take any sport seriously, when there's a franchise guy to build, an American franchise guy to build the sport around. So America can import loads and loads of overseas stars for Major League Cricket, but without their own franchise guy, that will be the point at which Major League Cricket probably hits the wider consciousness for the American public. That's my theory. Could be wrong, but that's my theory.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I think, you know, and I know there's a lot of debate of whether should they, you know, advertise towards like expatriates, or should they be advertising towards a newer quote unquote like white audience. And I think it'd just be interesting to see what they do, especially because the history that USA Cricket has of all these different controversies and folding and like restarting and all that.
I think the bigger question you had, which I think was far more important actually, was, will an expanding Major League Cricket make CPL irrelevant? That's a bigger question for me. I mean, they don't cross over yet, but because CPL hasn't done anything really and truly to develop the next set of West Indian youngsters or big franchise stars, they could be in an existential crisis sooner rather than later, in which they have a Caribbean product, but they have no actual Caribbean stars to build the product around. So it's not out of feasibility to me that Major League Cricket will overtake CPL in terms of relevance and importance in the near future.
Yeah, definitely interesting, because I think it's just funny because when you look at like the Caribbean, right? Like they have the infrastructure, they have all these players. Like you can, you know, like reasonably want to become a star in the CPL, make a living out that. Whereas in America, we don't have that, but we have the money, we have the population, right? So it's kind of like you need a mix of both.
They also need cricket grounds in different places. We have to remember as well, Major League Cricket is only centered around two grounds at the moment. So if you're going to have a team like Seattle Orcas or whatever they're called, well, you need a cricket pitch in Seattle. But like I say, all that stuff, give it 20 years. Give it 20 years, I'd say, and we can have this question again. That's if the match fixing hasn't been exposed. Listen, Rahul, because this is a quick one today, I'm going to move on because I want to try and get for everyone today.
All good. Appreciate it. And yeah.
Right, no worries, bro. Yes, that was Rahul. Now, listen, people, I was about to say it on the call with Rahul, but I'm just going to say it to all of you now. There is going to be a Lance Armstrong moment in T20 cricket where somebody whistle blows and really lets us know about all the match fixing that's been going on. Cricket's going to have its Lance Armstrong moment. I'm almost certain of it. In fact, all the key talking heads in cricket already know the Lance Armstrong story in cricket. It's just that everyone's shook to break the story. But it's coming. It's inevitable that it's going to come. Some of your biggest faves in world cricket are the biggest match fixers going. The biggest match fixers going. Every single nation and all of your faves, pure match fixing that's going on in cricket. Internationally, T20 down bag cricket, pure match fixing is going on, you know. Wait, it's coming. It's coming. And I ain't crying for no one when it comes as well. Anyways, let's move. Osprey's next.
Hi, Mash. How's it going?
I'm good, thank you. How you doing?
I'm good. I just want a quick shout out to everyone in the Caribbean. I know Hurricane Beryl's blowing through. I think the worst apparently is meant to be over. I know, not there, but I hope everyone is safe out there as well.
For sure.
Yeah, I know you're on a time penalty thing. We could chat about lots of different subjects. I'm never short of things to talk about. So I'm just going to ask a quick one then. So we've seen the World Cup. West Indies had an okay World Cup, did fine. I'm a bit frustrated about not learning from mistakes. It's probably nothing anyone who's been on the Discord will know about some of the things that you weren't learning from. So my question to you is, we've got 18 months-ish, 19 months now till the next World Cup in India and Sri Lanka. What would you see as progress for West Indies in that 18-month period and the World Cup itself?
It's a really good question. I mean,
I always have a habit of doing these.
yeah. Progress in 18 months' time. Where's it being played against? Sri Lanka and India?
Yeah, Sri Lanka and India.
I mean, ultimately, semi-finals is progress, right? If we go logically, semi-finals is progress. However, I'm actually going to twist it slightly. So semi-finals is on paper would represent progress. However, progress to me is more about have we or will we address the flaws that exist in the side. So, for example, if they went out in the Super 8s in Sri Lanka and India and we won 2, lost 1 and went out on run rate, that's technically progress as well, right? But a bigger form of progress would be less dot balls, running some 1s and 2s, having an opener that does their job on a fairly regular basis, the batting clicking when it's not favorable conditions, having an identified death bowler who knows how to do the job. Do you see what I mean? Like there's a lot of different moving parts of the West Indies team that need to be fixed. And when I've listed all those issues just there, it's probably amazing that we even made it as far as we went. But there are some clear identifiable issues which, if they were fixed, then it would be natural that something like semi-finals would happen next. So progress to me is fixing each of those individual problems.
No, I agree with you. I would say that just getting to the Super 8s again would be progress in itself because they've done it without home advantage.
Good point.
So I would say that is, and yeah, it's like I said, the dot balls. I don't need to say any more on that. Anyone who's been on Discord knows what I think about the dot ball situation. The death ball in this thing is an issue, and also Jared Kimber did a video on batting first and batting second. The choices of that. Don't know if you've seen that, but yeah, I think West Indies getting more comfortable batting first.
Yes.
And then she said, because that will actually help the death bowling and the running the wickets. Because if you're having to set a target, it's one of those things where you get the stats overload and you get, say, the dot ball. They said the dot balls because you go for a power score, and you're saying rather than just get as many runs as you can, it's overthinking that thing. So, and the same is like if you're having to defend totals more regularly, your death bowling has to improve if you're going to win games. Because otherwise, so that's, and I don't think seeing massive improvements here. I'm like saying if it's just 10, 15 runs less or 10 fewer dot balls, 10, 15 runs more from 10 fewer dot balls, or even if you just get the death ball in, which is going say 50 off the last 4 overs, just getting it down to 40 off the last overs. That's a net difference of 10, 20, 25 runs. And how many matches of the World Cup we just got were in that margin, were decided by 20, 25 runs. So that, as like you says, it can really turn to improve things in terms of the wins. So so batting, if you bat first more, they'll be more comfortable with that, and they'll have put themselves in more situations where they'll need to run 1s and 2s, and they'll need to sort out the death bowling. It might mean a few losses and a few things, and they'll cuss out the standard get. But I think that will, it's in the long term, that will help the team a lot.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, and I was just thinking West Indies do have a few advantages going in that I said that can help things. Like I said, they had a fine World Cup, but a lot of the 4 members had not a very good one. New Zealand, Pakistan, Australia. Those are the 3 top to mind. So like I said, New Zealand is a complete rebuild job. They've got so they're not going to be particularly anywhere near. Well, if they get to the Super 8s, that'll be progress for them based on on a brand new team. So West Indies have less of a rebuild job to do, which is accounts to favour. Two, it's they're like say, well, because it's India and Sri Lanka, well, not Sri Lanka, but India, just before an IPL, the match is going to be an IPL wickets or a standard. It's going to be 200 plays 200.
You would assume so.
Yeah, you assume so because that's what I mean. You don't have to go far on social media to find fans who like IPL and are complaining about this being a low-scoring tournament. Even though I thought it was actually a really good tournament in terms of the games, because the amount of close games you had made an exciting tournament. But like I said, there is an element of IPL fans who really like those big scoring games. So I think they'll try and cater to those fans. But yeah, the Sri Lanka ones will be tough, spinny wickets that will be very difficult to get big scores on. So we'll see what happens there. But the big power hitting is something that West Indies are still good at doing.
Yeah.
And I think that'll help favour them there. And lastly, one thing they'll favour is that West Indies got another 18 months with Shamar. I'm a big fan of Shamar. But they've got him to develop him into a bowler that's going to be regular in the team. Maybe as a death ball option, maybe not. But like you said, he'll be there to perform a role. Thing is, I think they've benefited of having him at Home World Cup in that squad, even though he didn't play, was a good thing. And I think they've got for the next 3 or 4 months, he'll be still in and around the West Indies squad for the England tour. I'm guessing he'll be in the South Africa tour, South Africa games as well. So having him in and around the dressing room will probably actually help. It's been a meteoric rise with Shamar, and I think having him in that dressing room, even if he's not playing, will help ground him a bit more. I compare it to Josh Little's situation with Ireland, where he had a meteoric rise, got an IPL contract, been playing franchise cricket, and his development has been hampered because he's been playing in these bounced around these franchise leagues, and he's not working on his own game. So when he comes to Ireland, and he didn't have a good World Cup with Ireland. So I think, like I said, so if we're trying to avoid that situation with Shamar, and I think they've got the way the schedule's working, they've got that ability to more I'll say that shield Shamar from all these big money from all these franchise leagues throwing money at him and trying to get before and go off there. He still can go to them, but it's better for his development that he stays with the West Indies setup for the meantime.
Better for his development, not good for his pocket. And we will see. We will see as usual how any sports person reacts when somebody throws a wad of cash in their face. Whether they think to themselves, well, this might not be better for my development, but it's certainly better for my community and my household, and so on and so forth. Your point is valid.
Argument. Yeah. I totally get that argument, and totally think is, I am obviously, like you said, there's going to be. It's when this thing about the match fixing blows up, because like I said, it's spreading everywhere. I mean, in Scotland we have the T10 league coming to us in August, and that worries me gravely because I said Cricket Scotland need that money, but I'm saying that now it's reached our shores.
Every T10 league around the world is match fixing. Every single one.
It's a big concern.
I'm not asking anybody any questions. That's facts. Every T20 league, every T10 league is a match fixing league.
Yeah, as I'm correct in Scottish sports, I won't say something as reckless, shall we say? But yeah, I think there's probably a reason why they've stuck it in the north, like Aberdeen and the northeast of Scotland, far away from everything else. So the thing is, but yeah, that's it for me to say. Like you said, many other things I could happily talk about, but I know your time pressure tonight, so.
No worries. Thank you, Osprey, for coming on as ever. You've raised loads of pertinent points. I'm fairly certain that some of the next callers will want to address them. But thank you for coming on. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Obviously, good shout to Raoul. Got some good calls as well. The sort of points I could have just picked up from his previous thing. But yeah, everyone, hope you have a good evening and stay safe in the Caribbean. No
worries. Sweet Osprey, much appreciated. Yes, people. Some several several key points raised there by Osprey. By all means, if you want to touch on them, go right ahead. I'm moving straight on, people. This is a different way of doing the show today because I'm deliberately finishing on time due to circumstances out of my control. I'm going to do less of the talking and just hear what people are saying. So I'm moving straight on to Existing Phantom. Let's keep it moving. Yes, Existing Phantom, how you doing?
Hi, I'm okay. I just have a question. Like, now that you've like addressed the whole French, the whole thing about match fixing. So I was just thinking, like, I don't know. This is a bit ahead, but never mind. But like, for example, if people get exposed for match fixing, um, would that like, especially because it's like taking place at least majority of the times in franchise, although I did notice a few things like at least this tournament and before from my years of watching this game, but like would that affect the structure of franchise cricket? Like how would it generally reflect on the cricketing world is my only question. Like what changes would it make?
So what usually happens is, I mean, it's a shame that Osprey's the one not on now because I'm sure he'd have a. If he's Osprey, if you're still in watching the show, listening to the show, by all means, get in the chat. But what tends to happen with match fixing is they tend to look for one scapegoat, and usually from one of the smaller nations or international teams to kind of take the fall. So, for example, right. In the West Indies, we've recently had Devon Thomas, right? In the last year, well, I think he got like a 5-year ban or something like that, right? You mean to tell me that Devon Thomas is the only West Indian who has succumbed to match fixing? Like that doesn't even begin to make sense, right? And Devon Thomas was playing international cricket for the West Indies. He'd just gone to Australia. He'd just played in a test match, and they're saying that he had succumbed. And the way that whole Devon Thomas thing was treated, that was treated as if he was some lone wolf. And that, like every time these things come out, it's like Devon Thomas charged by ACU, and now he's banned for 5 years, and everyone applauds. And I'm like, that's not even anywhere near the tip of the iceberg. He's just the guy you've thrown out there for us to all say something's being done. But if it can reach him, and he's playing international cricket, it must can reach others. Surely. But to answer your ultimate question, which is what would it do to the sport? This is why I think he'll never properly come out, because I think they'll always throw us lower hanging fruit to pretend that something's being done rather than expose what's actually happening at the top of the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense because I remember reading up on, I don't know, I was a bit suspicious of the like England and India performance, like the England-India semi-final. I just began to read up on it. I don't know, because like of the whole thing that maybe another team choked against India. I didn't end up finding any evidence for that, but I did end up reading about a bit of pitch fixing in the 2023 World Cup semi-final with India and New Zealand. So it's not like. Sorry.
So what are you saying? You're saying that India are fixing things.
Well, no. God,
I'm not saying it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so basically, I just read an article about like a last-minute change of pitches in the India-New Zealand semi-final.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, that. So that was a bit suspicious.
Yeah, most definitely. Listen, like you say, we shall see. We shall see in time. We're overdue one big player. We're overdue at least one big player being exposed. So you feel like that has to come in the next 2 or 3 years or so. But we'll see. Listen, is there not any other point that you wanted to make?
No, I'm just curious to see what happens and your thoughts on that. So thanks.
No worries. Listen, it's going to be a topic that we keep returning back to on multiple live shows. So thank you for raising the ugly spectre of match fixing.
Thank you for answering my question.
No worries. See you soon. Yes, people. Yes. It's a match fixing night today. That game's gone to penalty shootout, unsurprisingly. Right, okay. Do you know what? I didn't think there'd be many in the live today, as usual, and there isn't, because, well, there's a hurricane going on. So when I started it, I was like, wait a minute. Enough people probably don't even have current who might tune into this show. So yeah. Let's move on to who's next. Man of many trades. How many people are waiting? Josh, you're the last person today, by the way. There's no guarantee you get on the show, Josh, because in 20 minutes' time, I'm locking off this show. so it all depends. It all depends on if we even get as far as you. Right, man of many trades.
Good evening, Marsh. Good evening to everyone a part of the podcast and the diaspora.
I thought do you know what? I thought your internet would have been licked down by Beryl, you know.
No, Antigua's okay. Don't worry. Antigua's okay.
I'm gonna tell Beryl to lick down your internet, you know.
Hey man, I don't tell him to knock out Jamaica.
How you doing anyways?
I'm good. I've been tracking Beryl from its inception to now. But other than that, okay. I just want to say on behalf of my family and the entire Caribbean Cricket podcast, to those who are affected by the hurricane, we do sympathize with you guys, and we pray that everything goes all right and you guys get back on your feet real quick.
Yeah, blessings up each and every time.
My main points for calling in today are, going forward, since we have 18 months for the next T20 World Cup, who is the next likely opener we're going to get? Are we going back to Evan Lewis? Could we go wild card and probably bring back the guy who's coming off of a ban in John Campbell? If he plays right ball, that is. Or do we go for a young, inexperienced batter like Kadeem Allen, who showed that he can do a decent job opening?
So this is a really good question, you know. So how should I approach this? The ideal situation right now. So Evan Lewis, I think, is 32 now. The ideal situation, obviously, Evan's been playing in some of those T10 leagues in Trinidad, a couple of T20 festival things here and there. He was obviously in the camp in the build up to the World Cup. The ideal situation is that Evan Lewis has found his form, has refound his commitment and desire, puts up runs in CPL, comes straight back into the West Indies team. That's the ideal situation, because I do not believe there is any opener better than if every opener in the region plays to their maximum and their head is in the game, nobody in the Caribbean is better than Evan Lewis. Only a dunce would argue against that point, right? So that's the ideal situation. If we cannot rehabilitate Evan, your next bet would obviously, they'll go back to Carl Mayers more than likely, maybe a Shea Hope, etc. But your next bet would be to find somebody in CPL. But here's the problem. CPL usually insists on overseas openers, right? Rakeem Cornwall will never play for the West Indies again, you would think, so he's not an option. There aren't that many West Indian openers in CPL, right, who we haven't already tried. We can't keep going back to Spiceman. We can't keep going back to Johnson Charles. So to finally answer your question, this is where I'm coming from. When we finally have that Caribbean T20 next summer or May, before whenever they're saying it's going to be, that will be the first time we will see what domestic T20 talent, opening wise, truly exists, because the CPL franchises aren't willing to give youngsters a chance at the top of the order in CPL. So we can't rely on CPL to help us. So we have to look further afield to that Caribbean T20 tournament, where we might see someone like a Kadeem Lane be trusted by a franchise, or by his, however that tournament was, by his nation, whatever it might be, to open at the top of the order. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. My other question is on T20, before I move over into the test, is, do you see room for somebody like a Fabian Allen coming back as a pure batsman only? Or perhaps even as an all-rounder and move Shafane Waterford or Hetmeyer up the order?
It already nearly killed the selectors to realize that Hussein and Multi could play on the same side. The question everyone has to ask themselves about Fabian Allen is, what do they see Fabian Allen's primary skill set as, right? I think his primary skill set is as an all-rounder. There are some people who say his primary skill set is his batting, and there are some people who will say his primary skill set is his bowling. If you fall into the latter, that you believe that Fabian Allen's primary skill set is his bowling, there's just no spot for him in the West Indies side. Even if you think he's an all-rounder, I'd argue there's still no spot for him in the West Indies side, just because of Hussein and Multi, etc. So the only way he could get in is as a top 5 batter who offers us something. So I agree with you that there is a spot for Allen, but he would have to rejig his game to be more than the number 6, number 7 finisher. And he would have to focus on his batting to be able to get in the side as a pure batter only. If I'm Fabian Allen, maybe his better chance of getting into a West Indies side is in the ODI setup, which he used to be in once upon a time. So maybe he should be thinking further afield like that, but he'll never play Super 50 probably, so I don't know.
Okay. Now going over to the test side of the things now. With Kemar Roach knee injury, do you think this is the last hurrah, as in our farewell to him, if they don't pick him again after this? Or do you think he still have more in his tank to go if he recovers?
So what should I say here? I've been told, my sources have to remain nameless for now. I've been told, and I don't know how much I believe it, but I've been told by someone who normally they get it right. I've been told that conversations have already happened between the head honchos of Cricket West Indies and Kemar Roach, where there was an agreement that he would probably retire or step down from West Indies duty after the England series. That's what I was told. I don't know if it's true, but that's what I was told. However, now he's been injured against England. And whilst some people in the Caribbean don't believe in giving somebody a chance to bow out the right way, I would like Kemar to regain his fitness and get a chance to bow out, whether it be against South Africa at home or whether it be against Bangladesh at home. The right thing to do would be allow him to have one more test match before he steps down. Because remember, once he steps down, he'll sign a 3-year contract with Surrey and just play county cricket until he retires full stop from cricket. So Kemar's going to be all right. So I would say that this injury, he's just turned 36. I would say that we give him a series before this year is out. We've got, like, say, South Africa and Bangladesh, and then maybe conversations will be had about what next after that.
Okay. One last final talking point. I know that the batting for the test series is going to be chaotic because there's no real essence in it. However, with Kemar Roach missing out, what do you think the most likely bowling attack will be with Jeremiah inclusion, and you still have the toss-up between Morty and Sinclair if we're not playing on a spinner-friendly track?
Wait, repeat that again?
Okay, for instance, we're playing at Lord's, our first match, right? We have no Kemar Roach. You have Joseph, Seals, Holder, Sinclair, and Morty, along with Louis. What is your ideal bowling attack with the toss-up between Sinclair and Morty, or even Sinclair and Holder?
Roach's injury pretty much guarantees that Holder... Roach's injury pretty much guarantees that Holder now plays. If people are umming and ahhing about whether Holder should get a goal, I think they'll now realize that experience now means that Holder definitely has to play. Again, I'll always say that I don't know in what order they're going to do this, but I'd expect there will be Sinclair 6, Josh 7, Holder 8. Multi doesn't get a play at Lords. And then you have your 3 seamers. I would have wanted Alzari to be rested before the first test match. Now he can't be because Roach is injured. So I think your 3 seamers in that first test match is basically Jaden Seals, Shamar Joseph, Alzari Joseph. That's your 3 frontline seamers. Jason Holder is your end holder, and then Kevin Sinclair is your Roston Chase spinner who blocks an end, maybe takes a few bonus wickets here and there. That's what I'm expecting. There's no way Jeremiah Louis plays. There's no way you play a frontline spinner at Lords, particularly because there'll be so much doubts about our batting. So I just don't see how Multi gets a game. I think it's Sinclair, Holder, Seals, Joseph.
Okay. Thank you very much, Marsh. And Team Machel Louis to open over McCaskey. Bun the Bajans.
Goodbye. Right, okay. We got 6 people left. Wait, hold on. Wait, no. 5. Right, Travis is on next. Yes, Travis, how you doing?
Hey, Marsh. Good afternoon.
I'm good, thank you. Good afternoon to you too. Or good afternoon. Sorry, I was about to say good evening. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. I have 2 quick questions. The first one is about Kirk McKenzie. I think much of the other questions I wanted to ask were discussed earlier. So, do you think Kirk McKenzie is lucky to be batting at number 3 right now for the West Indies? Especially when we look at some of the other talents in the region. I look at, for instance, Kevlon Anderson and Kevin Wickham. I think technically and talent-wise, those 2 guys may be a little bit above Kirk McKenzie, but due to that 200 that he made, it catapulted him into the West Indies 11. What are your thoughts about that?
Boy, I mean, Kirk McKenzie scored the most runs in Australia as a West Indian batter, right? So he has to be rewarded for that. His form in the West Indies Championship was horrible and showcased why there should be grave doubts and concerns about him being our test match number 3. However, Australia trumps all of that. And there has to be the belief that once you invest in a youngster, you give him a chance. The positives of Kirk McKenzie is that he's a ball beater. His way of playing is he likes to put, kind of like from the Jermaine Blackwood kind of mold, he likes to put pressure back on the opposition. Given that in the past we were opening with Tage and Craig, that's no bad thing, right? Tage, however, has been dropped. So it'll just be interesting. I think Kirk is in for a stern examination in England of his technique. So is Alec, in fairness. So is Kavem Hodge. Our whole top 6, apart from Craig, who's been here many times, is in for a serious examination of their technique to the ball on the.
I know that Imlak just had this one good season after a few bad seasons, but technically, do you think Imlak is a little better than both maybe Athenaeus and Kirk McKenzie? Maybe to bat at that number 3 or 4 position?
Because, do you know what? Because it's a 3-match test series, it'll be very interesting to see if the team that starts the first test match, batting-wise, is still the same team that starts the 3rd test match. What we will find out in England is which batters in our team know where their off stump is. That's what we're going to find out. By the end of this series, we will know who genuinely doesn't know where their kind of off stump is, right? Kirk has to be persisted with. But the question for me, Travis, is this. If Kirk was to fail in England, do you persist with him into South Africa? Let me put that question to you. Let's just say he doesn't pass 20 runs in any of his 6 innings in England. Do you still persist with him for the South Africa series?
I find it hard to see him keeping his spot in the West Indies 11 if he doesn't make some runs in England. I think he has some credit because of what he did in Australia. That's what's actually caused him to be selected to England. So if he does poorly, I suspect that he wouldn't play against South Africa. He'd have to go back to regional cricket and do well.
Okay, now let me throw this at you. If Kirk, Alec, Kavem, so that's our 3, 4, 5. If all three of them struggled in England in this series, what do we do then by the time we come to South Africa? You can't replace 3 men.
I think West Indies could surprise us, but that's really a good question, though. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they pull the trigger, they panic, call back Chase, call back Hope to the rescue. I think that's something we could see if that middle order fails badly.
It's going to be interesting. And in fact, actually, it's worth pointing out, Travis, you just reminded me. Desmond Haynes' contract has just ended. So we don't even know, after this England series, we don't even know who the selector is anymore for the West Indies team. I know that a massive review has been undertaken about selection processes. So as much as we're saying all of this, we could find ourselves in a situation where the turnover from the end of the England series to the start of the South Africa series is so short that it could just be that it's head coach Kohli and Craig just picking the team, because we don't, as things currently stand, I don't believe we have a selector. So I'm going to have to do some digging with Cricket West Indies and find out who's even picking our side a month from now. So that there is that to consider as well.
Yeah, I wish the guys luck. I really hope they do well, but looking at the middle order, not very optimistic. My last question, though, I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at England's squad. I don't think that their batting lineup or their squad in general looks that strong either.
The England squad, to me, let me see if I can find it. We posted it up the other day. The England squad, to me, smacked of it's only West Indies. We can experiment against them. I think they've got Sri Lanka after us. Let me just find the squad. Yeah, so the England squad: Ben Stokes, Jimmy Anderson, Gus Atkinson, Shoaib Bashir, Harry Brook, Zach Crawley, Ben Duckett, Dan Lawrence, Dylan Pennington, Ollie Pope, Matthew Potts, Joe Root, Jamie Smith, Chris Wilkes. Let me be positive, right? It's a batting attack where I believe that our bowling, if it turns up, Jaden, Shamar, Alzari, Jason, could get at their batting attack. Obviously, their batting attack wants to beat runs and score quickly. But if our bowling's on point, I think we could get at them. Let me look at their bowling. Jimmy, Gus. I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting. I don't know. My heart says we can give them a game. My head says that as weak as that bowling attack looks to me, if they just fling it on a fourth stump line over and over again, we probably are going to be found wanting. But I hear your point. It's a squad that we should at least believe we can give a game.
I think so, Mash. I know there are others waiting to talk to you. Thanks for having me on, man.
No problem. Thank you. Listen, I started this comment. S Naughty says, I love you. Now, but S Naughty, why for this? Why for this? I need to understand. Why for this one? Help me understand this one. Listen, oil them up. Right, let's keep it moving. Right, so Josh, you're up next. All right, Josh, listen, you can't go for 35 minutes, you know. You've come on with 2 minutes left. It's you, then Trini Werewolf, then the show is over. Because trust me, I got a work deadline. Josh is on next.
Oh man,
how you doing, Josh?
how you? You said I see what you did there, man. I see what you did. It's okay. Blame the internet, blame Barrel. You know what I mean? I came on first and it went, and I had to come back on.
I hear you.
Let me just get into this. I want you to address and just analyze Puran for me. And there's a reason why I'm not blaming him, but remember, all of us went into the World Cup with a great deal of expectation in terms of skill and batting leadership from him.
Hold on, Josh, one sec. You know that every time you come on, everyone's calling you Puran, though.
Why?
I don't know. I think everyone thinks you look like Puran, you know.
No, I don't blame you because even my family says the same, so it's all right. People
Okay. Just checking. Anyway, I want to thank Jesus Christ. Let's move on.
Don't worry. People, if you saw me about 2 hours before I went to the barber, I probably would even look different. You know what I mean? Full Arab, you know, in Qatar, you know?
Anyway,
But yeah,
back to Puran,
though. I analyze Puran for me, Mash, and there's a reason why. And after your answer, I'll explain to you why I picked him out. Because, like I said, before the World Cup, we all went into this World Cup with some expectations on him in terms of from a batting leadership point of view and his talent point of view. Go ahead. You heard?
I heard you. I'm just trying to think where to start.
Yeah.
Okay, no. Before I go ahead, let me ask you this question first. Do you think Nicholas Puran should? What do you want from Puran? You personally?
All right, let me tell you what I want. Because I know what he's very capable of, I expect him to be a good match reader because I know that he's good at seeing situations, or I should say he should be good at it and be able to say, here what? I just come in to see this bowler for the first time. Let me just see out understand what he's trying to do and then go after him in the next over at the end of the over. That's what I'm expecting from Pura. I'm expecting. Wait, my 2 openers that were up front before got spun left, right, and center in Trinidad. Ball's not even moving. Let me come out and spend time out there and then score runs. That is what I'm expecting from Puran. Because I remember, Puran can easily do what Gale used to do. Come out, score a few runs, pace his innings, and in the second half, go after it. Which somewhat he tried to do against England, which didn't come off. But in the rest of the game, it's like he was a headless chicken the whole tournament. That's what I'm expecting from Puran.
Okay, I hear you. Before I answer, I want to just read something out. Let me find it. So Nicholas Puran for the West Indies has played 61 ODIs for the West Indies and averages 40, 300s and 11 50s. He's played 95 T20s for the West Indies, averages 27 with 12 50s. List day cricket including his games for Trinidad, he averages 41. T20s all around the world, he averages 28. Strike rate of 148. So the reason why I say all this, so I didn't even say strike rate in ODIs. His strike rate in ODIs in international cricket is 100, 99, 100. The reason why I start there is because Puran's probably as good as we've got. If you combine what he does in T20s and ODIs, I know that everyone will say Hope is the GOAT for us in ODIs because he averages 50, but Puran does it in ODIs and he does it in T20s. So my first defense of Puran is he's probably as good as we've got for this generation.
And I agree.
However, here's where I agree with you. However, although the gap between Puran and the rest of them is like this to that, and it's a huge gap.
Yes.
When you are the GOAT of our team, you at least have to do a Shandapur or something like that. Like you have to.
No, Mash, all he needs to do is what Gale used to do towards the end. See things out and use your skills towards the end. That's all he needed to do.
Right, okay. So I meant Shandapur in the sense of play at your level, no matter what's going on for the rest of the team. And play at your level being a world-class level, play at it, no matter what anybody else is doing in the team. I often find, and this is because I'm trying to break this one down, I often think that Puran is guilty of 2 things for me. One, he's overconfident. it's his strength, but it's also his weakness, right? So Puran, I've always said this, Puran believes he can beat any bowler out of the park. And I think he's actually got the ability to do so. However, this is where I think you're right. He doesn't always pick the right moment to prove that.
And
so
that's my problem, right there. That's my problem.
If Puran comes in, and I think we saw it. Which game did we see it in? South Africa, maybe another one as well.
No, the one that hurts the most is the South Africa one and the Trinidad one against New Zealand. You saw your two openers out there, can't even put back to ball, and then you decide to come out and swing at everything.
Right. So this is my thing, right? So my thing is, I'm going to use the South Africa one as an example. You've come out in the power play. You've only faced 3 balls. I think it was 3, maybe 2 balls. And you decide after 2 or 3, right, I'm going to leng this ball over long off for 6. You get caught, right? Now, some people say the shot wasn't some people say the shot was on. And they're probably right. And that was just pure, it was poor execution, but the shot itself and the shot choice was the right shot. The execution was poor. But what burns West Indian fans is that when you do that and you've only faced 3 balls and you're yet to get off the mark and you're the most talented T20 batter in the side, people will cuss. Because
but not only that, Mash. That was the first ball against the spinner. The first ball. He didn't even take time. He just saw the ball and like, all right, here we go. You understand? That's my thing, you know. We know he's talented. Agreed, right? He's very talented. He's the best of the bunch. But he needs to just read a little bit, read the game, see what's going on around you, and play at your level, like you said. Look, I analyze this tournament. I'm only making this point because, like you said, I know you need to go, so I'm only going to stay on this one point, right? Throughout the tournament, he got caught on the boundary 5 out of 7 times. 5 out of 7. And he was knocked out in the USA game, and I think he got bowled against. I think it was England. He got bowled against England. So 5 out of 7, he got caught out on the boundary. You know the old saying, sometimes 1 out of 10 times you get it cleared. You know what I mean, Mash? Like, it's only when you make that same mistake over and over, like, you're clearly not analyzing your own game.
Let me ask you something, though. Should Puran be coming number 3 for West Indies?
To me, it doesn't matter. Because again, his talent, and maybe this is where, again, you just said he's a victim of his own skill. Because he's hoping that his openers do what they're supposed to do. That by the 4th over, because he should really be coming in anywhere between the 4th and the 8th over.
Yeah, but he rarely in this World Cup he was coming in after 1 or 2 overs every time, pretty much.
Pretty much. So he's almost an opener in itself. You understand? But he himself should know, look, I know I can bat. I see this pitch. Let me just face out 2 overs or face what's coming my way and then use my skills and go after them. He tried to do it against England. And maybe if I was talking to him now, he would say, but I tried that against England. And just as I was about to go on the attack, I got out. You know what I mean? Because you remember that game, right, Mash?
Yeah. But hold on, Josh. Some people will rightly say, but why are we cussing Puran when there's enough men who are worse than him?
So this is where I'm going to go. This is where I was going to go. And this is where Sammy needs to get into the player's head and say, run them 1s and 2s. Because if you're not going to score the boundaries, run the 1s and 2s. We wouldn't look so bad. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, I hear you. But let me flip it again. Of all the problems that the West Indies T20 side may have to fix, is Puran even in the top 5 of those problems?
No, he's not.
Right.
He's not.
Yeah. So
but the reason why I'm pointing him out is I'm a big fan of him. Love his talent. People always say I am Joshi Puran. You know what I mean? But the thing is, the thing is, Mash, I like technical players, players who read games. That's why I love midfielders in football. If you know football, midfielders and centre backs generally spend a lot of time analysing and reading the game. So I like game readers. That's why I'm a fan of Shea Hoop and Rustin Chase. And I expect the same of Puran. People who they have the skills and the talent, but you know they can see a situation and be like, this is what I need to do. This is how, and then I use all my skills and my power against it. You see what I'm saying, Mash?
You need
So
to go.
maybe I'm being unrealistic, but that's that's always been my problem with West Indies. We never really had technical and game readers. We've always had, like you like to call them, cowlash players. You understand? So
hold on. You know what? I feel like you know that mirror meme when the guy's pointing in the mirror?
yes.
You need to do that to Puran.
Listen. I'm a good motivation speaker in my show. It would work, you know? Anyway, Mash, I know I had other points I want to talk, but I know you want to, jump off. So, by the way, people, welcome to the Monday Night Live with Mash.
No, you know, in the descriptor, I called it Monday Night MashUp. I'm wondering if that's what I should change it to.
Yeah, I think you should. I think you should. It's a good. Mash, you and I need to really have this marketing meeting here because I have some things I put down for you. So when you're ready, I have things. I have some ideas I can share with you. But
I hear you. Listen,
anyway,
Josh.
to the rest of the Caribbean, be safe. I know the hurricane is around. It's apparently has slightly turned away from Jamaica. That's the latest update as of an hour ago. So Jamaica might just get lucky again. So you never know. Let's not
bless
count
up
out
the rest of the Caribbean, though. We bless up and hope that the
the rest of you take care, be safe, and whoever comes on next, just stress the hell out of Mash, please. Thank you.
Right, last caller. Trini Werewolf. Listen, there's someone called TLG who just signed in, but TLG, you must have missed the part where I said there was only one caller left in the show, which is Trini Werewolf. Because my eyes are hurting me, cuz I got work tomorrow. I've already gone over the time. I said 1 hour and 2 minutes. Got to end. We have to end the show. Trini Werewolf, let's bring you on. Yeah, Trini Werewolf. Yeah, Monday Night MashUp. I'm gonna email. What's that Trini bad artist called? Is it K6? I'm gonna email him and see if I can use his music as the opening for this show. One of his Trini bad songs. Oh, God. Right. Let's bring Trini Werewolf on the show. Let's go. Right, Trini Werewolf, how you doing?
I'm good, Mash. Afternoon, everybody.
Yeah, I'm good. Good night. Good evening. Good night.
Yep. Hope everyone's doing well. I just have two very short questions. The first one, how difficult do you think it was for them to switch from Charleston Mayers in that last game? Because to me, I really expected him to play through most likely the whole tournament, because at that point, it's just admitting that they did not see him as someone who could help them carry them through the tournament to the final. Because even Powell didn't sound convincing when they asked him what change it was, and he said, "Oh, well, I'll just have one change," and it was Myers. And
so Santoki and I spoke about that, and we both said or agreed that it was surprising that if you were gonna drop Charles, why leave it to the final game of the tournament? And if I'm honest with you, Trini Werewolf, I would have played Charles in the final game because I just didn't. Mayers flew in, I think, the day before, and in a must-win game, you bring Mayers in, and respectfully to Kyle, I mean, Kyle made, I think, something like 34 or 33 or something like that, and that was no different to what Johnson Charles had been doing throughout the tournament. So I just didn't. I'd love to know the rationale for why they made the move. It felt like, do you know what it was? It felt like desperation.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know why else they were doing it.
Yeah, they're very tough one because I feel like once you saw Hope do okay, I think in the Afghanistan game, going into Super 8, maybe if he had done worse, but I think at that point he'll probably in it for the long run.
Yeah, and I guess not that it matters because we're out the World Cup now, but what effectively, what message were they sending? Like, so for example, now the tournament's over, Charles to me shouldn't be picked ever again now. That's it. Like, do you expect to see him still be picked in a World Cup team? Sorry, a West Indies T20 side going forward?
Probably not, given that most times he couldn't get the job done in, I think, only one game in the game against Afghanistan where it didn't matter.
Mm. So then what are you doing going forward? Who opens now with Brandon King? I mean, Brandon King may not even play that next series. He may still be injured for all I know. Who are your openers now going forward?
I do think there's a case to at least try Mayers and Hooper if King's not fit, or some combination of those three. I do think they have potential. The other option I was considering was if we go with King and Hooper, possibly that if Myers starts bowling, that there could be a case to swap him and Chase every so often if they feel like we need the extra pace bowler, extra spin bowler, and have Puran at 4.
So you're not calling Evan Lewis?
That's plan B.
The enigma that is Evan Lewis. Everybody in the region wants to know if we'll ever see Evan Lewis again. But I mean, listen, Evan turned up to a camp before the World Cup. For Evan to even do that means surely he must be thinking about playing for the West Indies again at some point in time.
And the one thing that stood out to me from him, I don't know how true this is, but I remember hearing on Crick Buzz that someone was told that he pulled out of the auction because he felt he wasn't given enough chances. So depending on how true that is, that's probably a good reflection of what kind of state he was in.
Yeah, for sure. So I think we'll see how that goes. Ultimately, we'll see what the team does now going forward in terms of in terms of who they may pick and so on and so forth. Hetmeyer, let's talk on Hetmeyer very quickly. Would you bring him back? He didn't get a game in the whole of the World Cup? What do you feel Hetmeyer's role is going forward in this World Cup?
I was a bit confused when they said they needed an extra finisher in Hetmeyer, but I looked at it as if needing someone who could only batter and not someone like Russell or Shepherd who could contribute with the ball. So maybe there's a chance to squeeze him in at some point.
Who for though? Who for? Who you dropping?
If Russell does retire, I could maybe see him coming in between Rutherford and Shepherd. That's an if.
Listen, there's so many different things that they're going to have to think about going forward for this T20 side. They still have to think about the balance of the side. They called Shamar Joseph up. He didn't play a game. Hetmeyer didn't play a game. They'll have to look at their bowling attack and wonder what is the best bowling attack for the West Indies side. They had a batting attack that didn't really fire. Apart from the only game they really fired in was the dead rubber against Afghanistan. So as par as the World Cup was, and as much as they made progress, possibly Darren Sammy still has a few more questions coming out of that World Cup than he had before.
Yeah, that's fair. I do think, given that this team is carrying over a lot of the problems from previous generations, and probably a little more so, given that some of them didn't seem like to be in the best form, to have made it to have the chance to qualify for semi-finals is definitely a good sign of improvement.
For sure. Listen, Trini Werewolf, I'm going to call it a close there, but thank you for coming on.
No problem. I hope Beryl gets exposed for match fixing, so it'll clear up everybody.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem.
Later. Yes, people. So, believe it or not, we nearly managed to do that one on time. 1 hour and 10 minutes. I said we had to be done in an hour. That's as close as I've ever got to matching the time. A bit of a quick fire one today. I had to do it this way today because I'm hella tired. Work is a lot. In terms of what's coming up, the tour match is the tour match starts on Wednesday. I'll be there on Wednesday, bits of Thursday, most of Friday for the tour match. I'll try and get some content with the West Indian players. The problem is all I've got is my phone, and that's going to be rubbish content. If anybody's going to that Kent game or the first class county game and knows anybody who's actually got good tech, tell them to hit me up. I should really have advertised this on Twitter well in advance because people want to see proper content from that game. So if anybody knows anybody, tell them to hit me up. But we'll be there. Lots of the CCP community will be there. I'll try talk to some players, do bits and pieces, hit a couple people up, look out for some pictures, so on and so forth. And then after that, what's next after that? Lords. We've got the Lords test. I'll be there from at least 2 or 3 days of Lords. Yeah, sorry, the Kent game. Sorry, the warm-up game is streamed. Kent got in touch with me today and they said, Mash, you can do commentary on that game and Santoki if you can bring your own sound mixing board and mics. Where the hell? What? Sound mixing board? I don't even know what that looks like, much less do I have one. So there'll be no commentary, but the game will be streamed for those who want to watch it. What else? So then Lords a week after that. Obviously, Trent Bridge a week after that. Edgbaston is the final one. So I'll be at all 3, not all 5 days, but I'll be at all 3 in some capacity. Then there'll be a 2-week break, and then I'll fly to Trinidad for the first test against South Africa. So I'll be out there as well. Alyssa says, where will it be streamed? I presume either on the ECB website or Kent will stream it on their YouTube channel. As soon as I'll find out tomorrow, I'm going around there tomorrow to just speak to some people ahead of the game starting. So I'll find out and then I'll post it up somewhere. Rods, how did the academy do? I mean, they lost every single match, but from speaking to Ramesh, the new academy head coach, there's definitely some ability. There's definitely some talented individuals there. Teddy's got talent for sure. Jewel Andrew for sure. Kadima Lane, Akeem. Someone told me it's not Akeem August, it's Akeem Agist. And there's any St. Lucians up in here. Apparently I've been pronounced it wrong. It's Akeem Agist. Agist? Something like that. Anyways, he scored some runs. Johan Lane took wickets. Kelvin Pittman bowled quick. Who else was there? Missing some names, no doubt. I think, anyways, I'm missing some names right now. Right, Jake said it was him who told me. So, Jake, is it Akeem? Did I say it right? Akeem or Geist? Anyways, Akeem's dad was there. Or Geese. Yeah, Akeem's dad was there. Akeem's dad and mum were there. So I spoke to them briefly. They were really nice. So, and obviously it was good for them to see Akeem hit the, was it 90 in the end? I think he got 80 odd or 90 odd in the final match. He looked pretty compact. There's definitely some talented youth there. But as Ramesh was saying to me in that video, if you haven't seen it, it's posted on the YouTube channel with the new academy head coach. As he was saying, reading between the lines of what he was saying to me, we can't be rushing these youth, man. Like, he was very much talking about, you've got to trust the process. You can't be putting youth, man, up into international cricket before they're fully matriculated and they're fully marinated. And I think we've been guilty in the past few years of just calling up, like Jordan Johnson got an A-team call up. Teddy Bishop went to Australia, and that's not to say these players don't have ability, but are we allowing them to truly develop at the right pace for them before we're calling them up to go to senior tours and go to the next level? Have they truly, the phrase I like to use in my day job is, have they honed their craft before we're asking them to go and play at the highest level? So I'm a big fan of, like, youth man just continuing a natural, and that's why I think I was so quick to say, let's just settle a bit on Machel Louis. Machel Louis is only 23 years old. He's only played 7 first-class matches, and we're just sending him straight into international cricket to play England. And he could do well. But do you really think that's the right developmental process for a 23-year-old? I don't know. Ultimately, we wish him well. Shamar Joseph had only played X number of matches before he went to Australia and licked Australia down. But for every Shamar Joseph, in West Indies cricket, generally speaking, for every Shamar Joseph performance, you get about 15 to 20 men who should never have been called up when they were called up because they weren't ready or the process hadn't been completed yet. But anyways, whatever. We can talk about that. We can go into depth in that another time, so on and so forth. Got some content coming later in the week. Gonna do a ratings show of the World Cup, rate everyone out of 10. I better be careful. One of these days, a cricketer's gonna slap me round the head with a bat, so I've got to be careful. So yeah. Anyways, big up the youth man who played Ireland. Big them up. It was good to see them play. Big up the West Indies women who won 2-1 in Sri Lanka in the T20 series. Big them up. And big up the senior men who are ready to start their tour in 2 days' time in their warm-up game. And big up me, because I'm about to go to bed. Big up Portugal. They won 1-0. And big up Caribbean Cricket Podcast. People, I'm out of here. Let me lock off this show. Thank you, everyone who joined the live. Let's continue to pray and bless up for all of the people in the Caribbean who are still in the eye of the storm, Hurricane Beryl. Let's all collectively tell Hurricane Beryl to suck its mum and help and pray that everyone's life is spare. See you all soon. Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rule seems coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.